So I have a 2009 Forester XT, and today I'm trying to do the control arms. I'm also going to do the brakes and the rotors while I'm at it, but most importantly the control arms. The car was making a clunking noise when I went over bumps, and on the highway it just wasn't as smooth. So turns out some of the bushings shot. So this is the front bushing. This is the old control arm here. I just got it off. You can see the crack in the bushing there, so that's probably why there was a little movement. It all comes off in one piece. I didn't even have to take off the castle nut and the pin there. The control arm just popped right out. Here's the rear bushing. You could see it's actually, I thought this one was really badly cracked, but it's not too bad. It is starting to crack here. So instead of taking the bushing out and just keeping the control arm, pressing the new bushing in, which is a pain, and since I have to take the control arm off anyway, I figure I'd just get a new control arm with the bushings already in it. So this is the new one. This is an aftermarket control arm from Tech. It's about 70, 80 bucks. And these are the new bushings, so brand new front bushing. It's already installed with the castle nut and the pin, so I don't have to do anything. New side bushing here. Let's take a look at the side bushing on the other one. This one is not too bad. This one doesn't take a whole lot of abuse. Just rotates. And here's the rear bushing, so already pressed in there, ready to go. I don't have to do any aligning or anything. It really makes my life easy, and I'll show you how I took it off. I just wanted to do one side first. It actually was really easy. I was really scared about this. I thought I had to take a bunch out. I looked at the service manual. It said you have to take out the sway arm, swaybar arm, and the lower subframe. But turns out on this XT, you don't have to do any of that. There's plenty of room. Here's where that inside bushing kind of goes inside between these two holes. This is the stud where the rear bushing slides onto, and there's a bracket. This is the stud support. This is the control arm support bracket, and the front. Where is it? Yeah, I got a little cold. Sorry for the sniffling. So here's where the lower bushing slides into. So it just popped right out. I didn't have to really muscle it or need a tie. What do you call it? A tie rod puller or anything. It just fell out once I undid all the other things, and it just popped out. So I'll do the other side. I'll show you some little tips and tricks that I learned. You did have to disconnect the sway bar end link here. So there's a little trick to that. But that's how it looks like. I'm gonna put this new one on. I'll come back to it, and then I'll show you how to take it off. All right, everybody. So I'm ready to show you how to take out the front control arm, lower control arm on a Subaru Forester XT. Should be the same for a non-turbo. So here's the new control arm. I had a couple bushings worn out, but I thought it'd be easier just to replace the whole control arm. This is an aftermarket piece. Again, it's a Tech. So I finished the other side. I still have to tighten one bolt. It's the bolt that goes through here, but you have to tighten this bolt when the car is lowered on the tires with all the curb weight, because this will twist, and you want to make sure you tighten this when the car is at its neutral position. This supports, I think, the absorption for the vertical movement. So the control arm sits like this in the car. So when the control arm goes up and down like this, the bolt here, if it's tightened in the wrong place, it's going to really wear out that bushing a lot sooner than it should be. So you want to make sure you tighten this last when the car's on the ground. And then new bushing here, and this is a new thing here. So there's some screw ups I did on the other side, so I'll show you what not to do, and when I get to that, I'll show you the tools you need. So you don't need a whole lot of stuff. You need a 17, a 14, and a 19 millimeter socket, a 14 millimeter wrench, a number 5 Allen wrench. You could use Allen sockets if you want, and various wrenches here. So I got an extension for the 3/4 inch socket wrench, big socket wrench, a torque wrench here when you tighten everything up, and a breaker bar. I did need the crowbar for the other side. You also need, if you have a jack, a secondary jack, or I have a big jack over there, you're gonna need that to do the installation. So I'll show you the process, and then I'll walk you through how I put it back together. So the first thing you gotta do is remove the lower sway bar bolt. So this is the sway bar. There's an end link here, so you gotta remove this sway bar end link bolt. And this is the control arm. So you can see the boomerang control arm here. This is the, I guess it's original. So you just have to take that out. So first thing, you should take this bolt out. And to take this bolt out, you gotta put the Allen key in the hole here, and that'll hold the bolt in place, and then you spin that around with your 14 millimeter wrench. I did spray everything with some penetrating lubricant to loosen everything up, make sure all the rust is taken out and stuff. On all of the bolts I have to loosen. It's been sitting about 20 minutes. The next thing you do is take out this upper bolt here that's on the front lower bushing where this castle nut is. You don't have to take this castle nut out. You leave that. You just take this bolt completely out. And then the next thing is loosen on the part that goes to the frame of the car. You have to take this bolt out. I think it's a 17 millimeter. So this nut might be hard to turn. So what I did, I went to the other side. This is the bolt. I started loosening this side, and then it made the other side looser, and then you just start loosening the nut. So what you want to do is loosen the nut. You take this nut out, but leave the bolt in. That's going to keep the sway bar, the control arm in place while you continue working. So you leave that bolt in, and then you go on the back side. There's this plate. These are 19 millimeter sockets here. These are on pretty tight, so you got to use the breaker bar, break those open, break those out, and this one, and you pull this whole plate out. And then what's going to happen after that, this thing is going to fall down. If it doesn't fall down, just whack it, with a hammer or something, but it should just fall out. And then you take this bolt that you left in place, pull that out, and then this part should fall out, and then you just pull the control arm off this front piece that goes onto the steering knuckle. You just pull that out, and the whole control arm will come out. So I'm gonna start loosening out everything here, and then I'll show you the control arm when it's out. Man, those support bracket bolts are on really tight. Gassed. I had to really use that breaker bar to, man, these bolts right here, man, they're all, I thought I was gonna strip these nuts, but you just gotta turn. I really have to pull as hard as I can. I don't have any air tools, so I had to use good old 16-inch guns here. Man. Alright. I got my wind back. So I took out the nut on this side, but I kept the bolt in. So this is loose now. So let's walk through taking it out. Oh man. Alright, that took a little bit out of me. Alright, let's get to this here. So let's remove this bolt, this nut. Okay. Man, I'm still like sucking wind. Whew. Alright. once you just loosen it, the factory spec says tighten these at 110 foot-pounds, and then this guy at like 80. But man, these felt they were on a lot tighter than that. I don't know if this has ever been taken out before, but that shit was on tight. The other side wasn't nearly as, it was tough, but not nearly as tough as this. Okay, so here's the bracket. It's this kind of triangle-y, isosceles thing. So you could see, oh man, it's kind of rusted. Let's see if I could show you. Look at that, there's like a little corrosion here. Maybe that's why it was on so tight. It was like fused on. All right, so I'm just gonna knock this out, and then I'm gonna pop this bolt out, and everything should just fall out, hopefully. Watch what I'm filming, something always goes wrong. All right. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see. So okay, so that's falling out. Okay, I'm gonna leave that. So what you do is you take this bolt out here. Might have trouble doing it, so I use a hammer. See, I got a crowbar handle here. I'm gonna just, I don't know if this is gonna work. Find an angle. So I'm pushing, got a little bit of angle, I'm pushing the bolt out. I don't know if you can see it. Alright. It's coming out a little bit. I'm just gonna try and push it out. Okay, so the bolt fell out. Here's the bolt that was in the support, in the frame there. Alright, then just keep knocking this down. It should just fall out. There it goes. Now this is hanging now by this socket here. It should just pop out if I give a little. Now this one is not falling out like the other side. It's loosening. I can see it. Let's see if I can just pry it out a little bit, give a little help. Not sure what kind of angle I can get on it. Well, just keep whacking it around. It's coming out. Alright, there you go. This didn't fall out as easily as the other side, but I got the control arm out. Okay. Alright, let's take a look here. So, see this? This and this control arm, this bushing was torn, but this one looks brand new. That's kind of interesting. This bushing, looks okay. Those don't really take much abuse. So I got it out. This stud here is pretty corroded, so I'm gonna spray it with a bunch of shit and, I'm gonna spray it with a bunch of oil and WD-40 and stuff, and hopefully clean that up a bit. And I'll show you how you put this back on. So I'm gonna put the new control arm in with all the bushings and everything. So the trick is, everything's pretty wobbly and it's hard to line up. So what I did was I greased up this thing here with a little bit of all-purpose grease. I put this in first, and I used a jack. I put a supported jack under here, and I kind of pressed it in. And then I put this side in that stud, and then I used the jack to push that up, and then I used the jack to line this up. So you got to use a jack and help line everything up. So let's see if I can get a good view here and see if see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see it. All right, so I'm gonna get some grease first and grease up this lower, just a little bit, just so it slides in. Not a big deal. Put some grease in here. So this is just help it slide in there. you don't have to worry about the grease. I don't think you should worry about the grease having any adverse effects on how this operates, because once it's in there, it's in there. It doesn't really move. It does. It might turn a little. I don't know. All right. So I'm going to position it. Get all my tools out of the way. I'm going to position this guy. I'm just going to put it in the stud there and just kind of let it sit. I'm going to get my jack. I'm going to have the bolt that goes into that lower arm, lower bushing ready. So I'm just going to use this jack and just push. Oh man. And just push this bushing into the socket. Okay, so it's kind of hard with one person, but just kind of get it in there and then get the jack under just to push it in. Hopefully okay, mine looks like it's lining up. So I'm just gonna push it up. It's going in there. Good. Looks like it's all the way in. All right. It's in there. Make sure it's flush on all sides. Let's lift it up a little more with the jack. Make sure it's in. And take the bolt, slide it, and replace it in. Install it where it came from. So the bolt should just slide in. So if the bolt doesn't slide in, then the bushing is probably not in all the way. So once that's in, it should help you kind of guide everything after that. Lower the jack. Now I'm going to get another side in. I'm going to use a piece of wood to help spread it out a little bit. Okay, so line up the rear bushing into the stud. See if I could use the jack. This time I'm gonna push it in the middle. See what happens here. Middle of the control arm. Actually, that's not working. What I'll do is I'll go closer to the rear bushing and just push up from here. So now it's sliding up into the Alright. So what happened was the control arm, the piece of the control arm that slides into the cross member here got jammed up. So I'm just gonna use a crowbar to push it down a little bit. Okay. So now this guy is lined up. I'm just gonna reinstall this triangle thing. Make sure you get the flush side is facing the car. And put all the bolts back that took out. So luckily I had a wire brush. With this wire brush, and I cleaned off the threads with some penetrating PB blaster and that wire brush, and I just cleaned it up a bit just to make sure it goes on the threads, the bolts glide back on, and they do. Looks like so far so good. So just hand tighten these so they're in place. Okay, next guy. All right, so the shop. So I cleaned out this nut. You know, probably be a good idea to use brand new nuts, but whatever. These aren't really self-tightening, I think, but man. All right, so you put this guy back on. And the shop manual says you're supposed to tighten these all while you're reinstalling. I'm just gonna position it right now, then I'll tighten it in a bit after I put the other side in. The middle. Right, okay, so that's just temporary. Now I'm gonna line up the bolt. It's kind of like an axle, you know, this little thing. I'm gonna line it up here. So I'm gonna use the combination of the jack and crowbar to get the holes to line up. Just keep pushing it up and down until everything lines up. So just gonna push it up and down, try to line the holes up. And then when you get it in there, and you kind of push on the rotor, the brake rotor, to push and pull on it to bring it back and forth, so you can find, okay, looks like I got it lined up. Well, hopefully, okay, it fell in there. Now it's not in all the way, so what I'm going to do is lower the jack low. Now I'm just going to keep wiggling and moving stuff until it goes all the way through the other side. Hopefully, so what I did last time was, let's see, I have to lower this a little bit. Now it's stuck. Maybe raise it again. So this is the part where I just gotta finagle until it comes in. So okay, so it's a little loose. So you just want to have play in there so that knows you can hit it. And then what I'm gonna do, looks like it's lined up. So it's hard to get it all the way through. I'm gonna take this hammer, just hit the head of the bolt. That helps. That knocked it all the way through. Alright, so it's mostly in. Now you just gotta tighten everything up. So the first thing you do is tighten these guys to support brace. I think it's 110 for the bolts that go into the body, and then I don't know if it's like 80, I think, for the, I'll have to check. I'll post it in the reference in the bottom of the YouTube video. And then then you gotta do the castle, the front bushing nut thing. I think that's about 40 foot-pounds, something like that. You tighten that next, and then you lower the car, and then you tighten this guy. Oh, don't forget to put the nut back on. Nut. So you put the nut on temporarily, and then you tighten it. You tighten this guy when the car's on the ground. Hopefully I can get under there and do it later. Alright, so I'm gonna need a little bit of help here. I got a 17mm open-ended wrench. So combine that with a 17mm socket, and I'd be able to tighten this guy up as much as I can do it. But don't over tighten it. You want it to have play, because you want to torque this down when the car is on the ground. So I'm just going to get the nut in. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so I've got it in place. Okay, and I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean. So you got this guy here. Can you see it? Here. So I just put this nut back on. This is what I had to jam through with a hammer. And I just put the nut back on. So it's just touching the cross beam here. It's not tight. You lower the car, then you tighten this guy. So I could tighten this guy here. I could tighten that one now, and then I could tighten all this stuff. All these 3 bolts. Alright, so I'll tighten that. Then I'm gonna do the brakes and rotors while I have this open. But then when I lower the car, we'll tighten everything up. And that's it.